Yo, 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 this is John Hope Bryant here. And this is the Black Effect Network iHeartRadio sponsored podcast called Money and Wealth. This is the Money and Wealth podcast series. It's season 2 that has taken the podcast world by storm. Thank you all for all of your support. Top 100 podcasts in America on Apple on business, and top 50 for entrepreneurship. And every week we come at you and to you with an exciting, powerful new learning, a new message, an hour that changes your life. And this week is no different. I've got my friend Tim Burt here with me. I think this is perfect because you should be saying, Tim Burt, do I know him? Is he a rapper? Is he an actor? Is he a former football player? I should know who Tim Burt is. No, actually, that is actually the point. You probably, unless you're in Atlanta, where he is a local hero, a local legend even in his space, you would not know who Tim Burt is. That is the point. I want all people, every black man, every Latino man, every white man, doesn't matter your race, place, whatever. I want every man to model Tim Burt. Introducing Tim Burt of Tim Burt Enterprises, who is a friend of mine, who has an up from nothing story that absolutely will inspire you. But he's also funny as all get up. He's hilarious. He's like a Sasquatch. If you see him, he's like 5 times bigger than me. If you get a chance to see some of the clips of this on YouTube or on social, you'll see my brother is, you don't mess with Tim Burt. So Tim Burt runs a construction company. This is hustle economics. He was, oh, John, you talking over my head. You know, you I don't understand what you will definitely get this. So Tim, before we get into your personal story, which is inspiring, and some lessons you're going to give the audience and leave folks with as they go on the journey of their life in business and entrepreneurship and wealth creation and cash flow, you understand something. You understand a couple things that you've told me over time that I just think are extraordinary. And if it wouldn't be offensive to my Jewish friends, I would say I think you're partly Jewish. And I mean that as the greatest compliment. Like, I've always said that black people need a black Jewish business plan.
Yeah.
I think that this group of people have found a way out of no way and really became financially literate. And even though the world was against them, they were for themselves, and they were thrifty and they were smart, and they were, and I really respect their achievement as a group and individually. And too many of us are flossing. Black people.
We're in the assets on
our ass. Yeah. Right. Too many of us are, and look, I understand it is our background, it's our history. We were not allowed to we were not taught financial literacy. We were not taught how capitalism works. We were denied that with the Freedmen's Bank of 1865. We did not have we have a darker complexion. It's easier to identify us, segregate us, discriminate against us. There are good reasons, good, bad reasons why we don't have not achieved, because literally we've been held back at every step as a group. Still, we find a way, some of us, to succeed. Many of us actually, but some of us extraordinarily successful. I would call you extraordinarily successful. But because of the low self-esteem that comes from the way in which we were treated, some of us floss and gloss over substance. Some of us want to bling and sing versus own and stand in that sense of value that you created quietly. So you said something to me, many things that just had my head spinning. I'm like, where'd this guy come from? What the heck? Because you weren't trying to impress anybody. One thing you said to me, you said, John, I put this in my book, Financial Literacy for All, so you can go and watch uh, either listen to it on audio tape or go and read the book, Financial Literacy for All, #1 bestseller to this day, 15 months after its publishing. In the book, I cite Tim Burt, and Tim says, you got to decide whether you want to be famous or you want to be
dangerous.
All right, what the heck did you mean by that? You want to be famous? This is the first Tim Burt lesson. What do you mean by you want to be famous or dangerous?
Well, I think too many times we get caught up in having more in our closets than we do in our bank accounts. We put so much money into things that don't matter, that won't last beyond us, things we can't take beyond the grave. So in order to be dangerous, I was taught by a lot of elderly people growing up in Atlanta, grew up in Perry homes. I would take people trash out for 25 cents as a kid and just make money. They would always give me good lessons. And one thing you know about elderly people, they will always remind you who you are, where you come from, where they come from, and what it should be. And I always hear them talking about legacy. And you're gonna get the word of God, of course. When you hear the word, when you die, would it matter that you live? And I started thinking about that as I got older and started thinking about what it is to be dangerous. And one of the things that really grabbed me when they always put scripture to you, a good man leaves an inheritance to his children's children. That's being dangerous. And I was like, wow, if I died today, as I got older and started understanding, what would my kids and my family have? What would live beyond the grave when I'm gone?
So this is a nice, sweet, wonderful, almost philosophical, religious response. That wasn't what I remember. When Tim and I were talking about this a few years ago, he was upset. He was peed off at some ignorance going on. And I don't remember the context. I don't think it was that.
Oh, here we go. I got you.
Yeah, I don't remember the context, but I remember he was like, hey man, like I'm tired of this stuff. We got to decide whether we want to be famous or dangerous. What got you? What in our culture? Because I know you love us and you want us to be the best version of us. So do I. That's why I'm speaking truth to power. What got you in your gut that caused you to make that powerful differentiation?
I just think the level of poverty that I was witnessing, how we can sit back sometime and allow people to dictate to us what we should have and what they think we should have. But when we start knowing who we are and say, hey, look, this is where we draw the line. I'm here to do a service to my family, to my friends, but at the same time, the community. So when you start thinking about making money, people start telling you what you can't do and where you can't go and what they think you should be. And I think you say this, if you don't know who you are by the end of the day, by the morning when you come, somebody's gonna tell you who you are.
Somebody's gonna tell you who you are, exactly.
And if nobody don't get pissed off behind that, because that means you're allowing other people to define you.
That's right.
And I refuse to allow anybody to define me, because in business, people always tell you, well, you can't do this. Who are you to tell me what I can't do when I know why I'm here?
That's what I'm talking about.
Now you're talking
about Sasquatch here. This is Tim Burt will come and squash you with his brain. Okay, so you're like, celebrity is cool, but forget being famous. Be dangerous from the neck up. Be smart, dangerous from the neck up. He's not talking about brawn. He's talking about brains. So you came rolling up to my house one day. With a situation that I thought was just wild. You came rolling up in my house with a truck. I'm sorry, half a truck. He drove up and we have a nice spot now. I'm not trying to have no raggedy stuff up in my spot. I'm particular. And here's this black man pulling up in half a truck, literally half a truck. The cab, the back of the truck's gone. Like, what the heck's going on? Is this a homeless dude and made up in my property? Tim, what was going on with half a truck, man?
So what happened was
see, the situation.
What happened was the situation had changed. John called me about some things that he needed at his house. So I needed a truck, and I was looking all over, finding, truck prices just high. Like he said, I got away. I like to spend and save money. So I called and I was looking online. I found this truck, but they didn't have a picture on it. And so when I called the people, because it was a F-250, like an 04, for like $7,000 with 55,000 miles on it, I was like, man, this got to be a great truck, but it must be wrecked or something. So I maybe can take it and, fix it and do what I need to do. So I called the people, and the guy said, man, how did you get it that quick? He said, I just literally hit send. I said, look, I want the truck. If it's good shape, if it's running, I'll take it. He said, well, I got a little problem. I said, well, whatever problem, if it ain't wrecking, if it's running, I'll take it. For $7,000, 55,000 miles, F-250.
Sorry, slow down. $7,000.
$7,000, a 04, and had 55,000 miles.
2004 year.
Yeah, 2004.
Had 55,000 miles.
55,000
which is
miles.
not bad at all.
Not bad at all.
I mean, these trucks go forever. And
Yeah.
and so you called and said, I'll take it.
I said, I'll take it. So he said, well, there's one little problem. You know, the truck don't have a bed on it.
Bed, meaning the back of the truck.
The back of the truck, yeah.
I'm trying to translate for everybody. Just stay with me.
So the truck don't have a back on it, don't have a bed on it. He said just the frame and just the truck. But he said it run pretty good. I said, I'll take it. I said, I'm on my way. And I said, do I need to see your copy of my license so you can hold it for me? He said, sure. He said, no, just give me your name and I'll hold it for you. He said, but you got an hour to get here. So and it was
an hour to get there.
It was a little further away. So I said, look, I'm on the way. I got down there, front the truck up. He brought it around. They had done washed it. And of course, then they held the back on the bed. And the man said, man, you know what? I made a big mistake. I should have got this truck for my son, but I couldn't send it to him because I, gave you my word. So I told him, I said, look, here's the check. I wrote the check. I said,
so you paid for it cash.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. So you paid for it cash because you went and did some jobs in construction because you're a general contractor.
Yep.
You get paid on the general contracting job versus taking that money and going and buying some suits or some jewelry or flossing off at clubs or whatever. You bank that money, you set it aside, you paid your bills, and then you look for a value situation that could build you, something that can make you money and build you wealth in the future. And you thought, and buying something under market, versus paying more for it than it's worth, like people leasing luxury cars right now, buying or leasing, paying $4,000, $8,000 a month. People pay a month for a lease on a car they don't own what you bought this truck for. So versus doing all that flossing stuff, your values, who you are, said, mess the heck with all that. I want to own this truck 100%, but take my profit and create prosperity. Do I have this right?
That's it.
So you went and bought this truck. You didn't care what it looked like.
Didn't care what it looked like. Didn't care who looked at me driving it. Even you. Because when I drove up, he was like, what the is you driving? I said, a truck. Didn't I get over here? I said, what does it represent? Transportation. It transported me from one place to this place. So I'm here.
I want to make sure everybody's hearing you 100%. So, see, Tim is a construction dude. He owns a construction company. He's not used to this media stuff. He's only doing this because I asked him to do it. But this is a great role model for you. So you didn't care what it looked like. You didn't care what I had to say about it or anybody else. You didn't care if people looking at you crazy on the freeway. You're like, what? Your view is, I own it.
Exactly. I'll never forget this story, and I told you we laughed about it. I pulled up to the gas station. You know how people come up and ask you for money? So this one lady walked over. She looked at me. She said, what the is you driving? She said, I was going to ask you for some money, but look like you need help. I said, well, you got $2 on this gas?
You willing to take a gas?
Can you help me?
Exactly.
Okay, I'll take it.
Exactly.
But looks are deceiving.
Looks are deceiving. So you didn't care how it looked. You didn't care what somebody's impression was.
None.
It's your truck.
None.
All right. So now I come up to the house one day, and we've got some space. And,
acres on acres.
And so my man, and by the way, he's the one who indirectly encouraged me we have 40 acres, which goes back to 40 acres and a mule, in an area, in a county that was a slave county years and years and years and years and years ago. So we really thought it was a tipping of the hat of the legacy of our ancestors that we would own 40 acres. Well, Tim is the one one of the people who encouraged me to, we don't want to give my address, but the address of the property has some symbolism to it because it ties back to the Freedmen's Bank and all that. But the 40 acres, Tim was like, yeah, you got to, because I started out at 13 acres, you got to buy this additional acres. What I didn't realize that Tim also wanted a place to park his crap. So
hustle economics.
Hustle economics. So I pull up one day, and Tim, there's a dump trailer in my on my property. I'm like, well, I didn't hire no dang on dump trailer. What's this dump trailer doing there? And come to find out, it's Tim Burt's. Why in the heck that you have a dump trailer on our property. And what's the history of the dump trailer? You bought this dump trailer?
No, I didn't buy it, but
Okay, you
let me
stole
tell
it?
you how I got it.
You're not a thief, right? You
Well, I had
didn't.
to hide it out for a little while until I got it paid off. No, just kidding.
Okay, so what's the history of this dump trailer?
So the history of the dump trailer is, I got a call, a friend of mine who was running the manufacturer, who was actually, producing and making those dump trailers, and he wanted me to come in and do a seminar, pretty much, on financial literacy, peak performance, and diversity.
Okay.
And so, long story short, I went in day before, assessed everybody, talked to the people, went back to my hotel, put everything together, showed up the next day, met with the executive staff and the team, and did my presentation. And so afterwards, he said, "Man, that was great. Everybody loved it. People, got great reviews. Here's your check." I said, "Well, look."
So wait a minute, hold on. So now you're doing seminars, and you're the jack of all trades.
Exactly. That's what you're talking about. How did you do that?
My man is hustling. Go ahead.
Like, how did you get this trailer? But now you didn't steal it, did you? I said, "No, man. I'll tell you the story." So when he handed me the check, I said, "Look, man, if you don't mind, I don't want the check. I'll take one of those dump trailers out there." He said, "Man, you crazy? Why don't you take your money?" I said, "Listen, if I take that check from you, I got to add probably about another 4,000 or 5,000 to it to get one of those trailers. So you keep your money, keep it in your, slush fund, whatever y'all need to keep it, and wherever you want to put it, and I'll just take one of them dump trailers." He said, "Okay, let me go over and talk to the people." And they was like, "Oh man, yeah, give me that dump trailer," because what they was gonna pay me was a whole way more than what the dump trailer that it would cost them to produce it. So like, "Well, yeah, give it to them." They hurry up. I might have thought something wrong with it for a minute, but that's how I got the dump trailer. And I didn't even have a truck at the time to pull it, because you need
which is why he had a truck with no back on it. Oh my God, this is my man. My man is CEO of Hustle. Okay, let me back up. Please hear me, you guys. You don't mind how to. There's two ways to make money: make more or spend less. My man is the CEO of Thrift. So you go to give this speech. The guy's ready to pay you for your speech. You're not even a professional speaker. You're a general contractor, but you obviously articulate and people are charismatic.
dangerous.
You're dangerous from the neck up. So he goes to give this speech, which he's not qualified to do. Don't tell him that. Of course he's qualified. But it's not his trade. And they go to pay him, and he's like, "No, I'm not really." The cash he knows is going to disappear.
Yeah.
He's going to spend it. His kid's going to spend it. His wife's going to spend it. Somebody's going to spend it. He's like, he looks over and you say, "How about one of those dump trailers?"
Yeah, I take one of those dump trailers out there.
Did you know what it was worth?
Oh, of course.
So what was it worth?
The dump trailers were worth about brand new, like $12,000. It was brand new. It had never, been off the lot. These are something they make there. That's the manufacturer.
And did you know what the wholesale price was? The cost?
Ain't no wholesale prices on those unless.
I mean, did you know the cost was to buy one, like what he would pay for it? Did you know what that price was?
Oh, their price, they probably made it for about, 3, 4,
5,000.
Yeah. That's what it cost them.
Yeah. So your speech fee was sufficient to cover his cost.
It was right at about $60,000, but the dump trailer $12,500. So I'd have to put another $6,500 to get the trailer. So you just keep the check, keep that money.
Mm-hmm. Give me that trailer.
Give me that dump trailer.
That's a beautiful thing. There's two ways to make money. You make more, spend less. And what he just said is similar to how we deal with financial coaching at Operation Hope. If somebody has a charge off on their credit report that's 10 years old, if it's $1,000 phone bill or something like that, well, they chased you for that $1,000 for 2-3 years. They couldn't find you. One company sold to another. They finally sold that debt to Joe's Finance Company. Joe's Finance Company, in this example, bought it for 5 cents on the dollar, $50, and that if it's $1,000 debt. So when we call Joe's Finance Company to try to resolve that debt for the client, Joe's Finance Company wants to double their money, so they bought it for $50. They want 100. But if we offer them 200, which is an incredible profit for them, it's an 80% discount for my client because she owes 1,000.
Yeah,
she's paying 200. It's a 200% profit on or better for the Joe's Finance Company's example. Everybody win. No fair exchanges, no robbery. Everybody walks away from that clean, and my client gets a credit score pop of 40 points. That charge off comes off of their credit report. You can't get obsessed with, oh, we're paying this person 300% of what I owe them or whatever the thing is. No, when you leave a negotiation, everybody should leave slightly annoyed. That's a successful negotiation.
Yes.
So you left that negotiation, you know, it was more than he paid for it, but less than you would have had to pay for it by 100%.
Yeah.
You could have got caught up with, well, what did he pay? I'm not going to pay any more than he paid for. That's a wrong argument. In fact, that's arguing. That's emotional. Don't get emotional in business. In fact, you were not emotional in business. You were just like, I know I can make money in my sleep because you're charging a rental rate. He probably charged me a rental rate for that dang old trash bin he put on my property. I remember now that we did construction work on my property, and he probably charged me rent while he's getting rent-free storage.
Hustle economics.
He charged me for this dang old trash bin. Now I'm thinking the whole situation out now. But I mean, I respect it. I mean, this is brilliant. So now he takes actually, you can't put this big old trash bin on the back of that pickup truck. But if he could, he would have. If Tim could have latched that trash bin on the back of that F2, was it F-250?
Yeah, that's what I pulled it with, but I had to go to Home Depot and rent a truck to drive it, and I dropped it off at his property until I got my truck, and then I went over there and got it.
So you were able to pull that with the F-250?
Yeah, I could pull it with the F-250, but I didn't have an F-250 at the time. I had
but the F-250 with no backing on it, with no.
Yeah, that's the one I bought to pull it with.
You did pull it.
Yeah.
Okay, excuse me. This dude is a hustler incorporated. All right, so there's this other story I want to share. You were years and years ago. Your wife is a brilliant doctor, and a nice person, nicer than you, and she's an OBGYN, right? OBGYN, and she was starting a practice, or she had a practice, and she needed an office. You correct me if I'm wrong. Most people would have rented an office.
Yeah.
Please tell the audience what happened in your situation. You went to go look at an office, and I guess you could have rented it.
Yeah.
What happened?
So, long story short,
pay attention, people.
We got married September 2010. She was looking to become a partner in the practice she was in 2011. The owner told her he didn't want to practice. So that was around February. So August, we found the building and got her involved. But the key to it, what he want to let you know is about how we bought the property. That was the guy with the property, $480,000 what they wanted originally, and we just kind of backed off and waited.
So let me back up. First of all, you could have rented something.
We could have rented it right away.
It would, and he would have been happy to rent it to you.
Yeah.
Okay. So now continue.
And so what my wife did once we started her office originally before we bought the building, we did a timeshare with another doctor. So he was only there because he's a surgeon. He was only there in that area maybe like Monday, Wednesday, and certain days, like half a day. So whatever half a day he went there,
she could have used it.
And so I told him coming in, because he didn't need like sinks and stuff like that. He just come and check gauze and do stuff like that. If they need something, he take them back to the hospital. So by him, she knowed him as a friend. They, went to school together and did some, surgeries and things like that together. So I went in and renovated that office and then charged him because he was allowing her to come in that space and use it. And
so you guys did a barter.
Basically. Yeah, we did a barter
trade.
That's how we did. And then we found the other building. So
Hustle
economics. So we found the other building that we really, really wanted. And so we went over there and looked at it, met with the owner. And first, like I said, he wanted $480,000. We waited and he came back. The price dropped.
Slow it down, slow it down, Mr. Financial Genius. Slow it down so people can keep up with you. So you were going to rent the building. You went and found a co-op situation. Time basically sharing a space. You did some work for the surgeon in exchange for rent.
Yep.
Then you found another building that you actually wanted to have yourself.
Yep.
The owner wanted $480,000. Mm-hmm. What happened next?
We waited for a little while, maybe about a year or so. Then the price dropped because nobody, I guess, bought it or looked at it or had any interest in it. So he dropped it to $225,000.
Where was your wife during the time that you were waiting? Where was she operating?
She's still in
the timeshare situation.
Yeah, still in the timeshare situation.
So patience.
Patience is key. Patience is a virtue. So we meet the gentleman over there. So my wife had a financial advisor at the time. So we go over there and meet the owner. But before we left, I told him, we don't rent. I want to buy it. That's my stronghold. We want to purchase it. So we get over there. The guy said, oh, yeah, $225, 20% down. I'm willing to do owner finance. And, I'm gonna fix the roof and I'm gonna fix. I said, oh, stop right there. I don't need you. I don't want you changing a light bulb. I want it just like it is.
What?
So that 20% down, that's like $50,000. I said, look, around here, this place is gonna need about $100,000 worth of renovations. I said, so I'm gonna renovate this office. I'm buying it on my strength, not my wife. I said, so you talking to me, not her.
Okay.
Get her out the picture.
Okay.
I said, so that's my stronghold. That's my capability. And he said, well, I just think if her financial advisor jumped in and said, well, I think if you rent it for 2 years. I said, hold on. I stopped him. I said, sir, let me tell you something. We ain't doing no rent. If you want to sell me this building, he's going to make me an offer that I can't refuse, and we're going to take it. Now, if you don't want to do that, we're going to end this conversation. So
this dude's gangster. This is financial literacy gangsterism 101.
Dangerous.
Dangerous. Okay, continue.
So the gentleman said, okay. He said, I got your point. I hear you. So the next day, this lady walks into my wife's office, and my wife's sister and staff was up front, and the lady came and asked, well, who is Tim Burt? I don't want to know this. So here's a woman coming in asking these women, who am I? So they looking like, hey, what you asking that for? So she said, oh, I'm sorry. She said, I'm with the doctor who's going to sell the office. She said, I've never seen him do this before. He sent the keys over. He wanted 20% down. He said, give him $5,000 down, and he'll finance it 15 years, 6% interest.
6% interest.
6% interest.
I love it.
And I said, we'll take it.
Which is a great rate for a commercial building, by the way. People are complaining about 1%, 2%, 3%. You'll never see 1%, 2%, 3% again in your life. That was free money.
And that was in 2013.
Get it out your head, right?
Yeah.
Right. So, okay. And this is seller financing, which is going to be more expensive anyway. But okay. So versus the $50,000 down, you convince him you're going to improve the property.
Exactly.
Which is his property until you pay it off.
Exactly.
So if you default, you improved his property. He wins. He gets the property and your improvements. By the way, don't get mad at this. This is capitalism. This is fair exchange is no robbery. This is the way this works. Don't take it personal. This is not again, in a great negotiation, everybody wins, slightly annoyed. The owner didn't get everything they wanted. Tim didn't get everything he wanted. Actually, Tim did got everything he wanted. The guy just didn't know it. So now $5,000 down.
Hustle economics.
Hustle economics. $5,000 down.
Yep.
6-year term.
No, 15-year.
15-year term, 6% interest, right? You're doing improvements of the property with your own construction company, so you're doing it at cost over your time. Okay.
Yep.
Where are we at now?
Where we at now? We still own the building. My wife's still practicing, and the building have gone from 225. We just kind of looked it up and did it. Yeah. I'll let you tell them because he's a numbers guy.
Yeah. So the building now is worth conservatively $750,000. It's between $750,000 and $1 million. And no, I'm not giving you the dang on address, so you can go and harass him and his wife trying to buy the building from him and all. No, I'll just tell you that it's somewhere here in Georgia, and it was a brilliant business move. They've tripled, maybe quadrupled the profit. And if they had rented all this time, again, we have this short-term mentality a lot in our community. I want to get this cash, I want to get this bag, I want to get this dollar, I want to get this money. All cash is a medium of exchanging value. That's it. It's completely overrated. What we want to do is you build wealth in your sleep. So Tim just gave you at least 3 examples of building wealth in your sleep. He gave you an example of mindset. You want to be famous.
You want to be dangerous.
Dangerous from the shoulders up. So how you're thinking about it. Mindset, which he got from his grandparents, got from how he grew up, which hopefully we get to is some lessons before we finish the podcast episode. The second lesson he gave you was his raggedy truck. Actually, it's 4 lessons. This raggedy truck that he had on my property.
And I still have that truck.
So, actually, it's not a raggedy truck. It just looks raggedy because it doesn't have a back end on it. There's no bed. Is there a bed on it yet?
Nope.
Why don't you have a bed on the truck? It's because you don't want to spend the money.
If it ain't broke, don't fix it.
And you still don't care what anybody thinks about you driving this truck.
Hey, that's right.
All right. So, by the way, what was the truck worth, you think, when you bought it? What was the value?
Man, an F-250, 2004 with 55,000 miles on it. Man, you're looking up with $15,000, $20,000, $25,000.
Really?
Yes.
So you bought it for half or better because it was.
You had it back on it, and they probably just didn't know the value. Just want to get rid of it and get it off their lot.
Okay.
So, and guess what? I took it off of them.
Exactly. I drive, and I'll be in the country sometimes. Or I'll be driving somewhere, and I'll just you'll drive by a property, and you'll see a truck or something, or a car, or a tractor or something in the backyard. sort of all that got stuff on it. Somebody just covered up. The owners don't know what that is. It may be the father passed away. I remember when my father passed away, he had a bunch of construction equipment. I mean,
didn't know the worth.
I didn't know the worth of it. I just want to get rid of it. So I told my people, just sell it for whatever you can get. Bless somebody else. So imagine people driving by somebody's farm, ranch, house, just looking for things that they don't value, but you do. That's what you did in this situation. You valued it. You understood the value. The guy didn't. So that was the second example. The third example was the dump truck you left on my dang on property, charged me rent for as he charged me cost to do the work.
Hustle
economics, right? And he still has equipment on my property, a tractor and some other.
The skid still, yeah.
The skid.
That we
You see, you even know the stuff you left on my property. What that big old barrel thing? I don't know. You can get me frustrated.
Well, most people know him as like a bobcat. So Bobby Brand knew him because he, on this property we create some trails. So
he's using me as a storage facility. That's what he's doing. Because he's stingy and he don't want to spend no money. All right,
that's what friends are for.
So then he has this commercial real estate deal, which I think is absolutely brilliant. And this is the example, like the young people are like, oh, I'm tired of owning this house. I'm gonna sell this house. They just bought it 2 years ago. I'm gonna move into an apartment. Horrible move. Really not smart. Yeah. You're gonna move in this apartment. You're gonna be flossing, chilling, living your best life. And 10 years from now, you're gonna look back at that house you sold. It's gonna have doubled in value. Now you can't afford to go back in that house. You spent all the cash that came from selling that house on rent. You paid people like me to house you, and now you tore from the floor up. So, because we're flossing.
Yeah.
Right? So, this has been fantastic already. Is there another lesson or two you have that you'd like to share with the audience before I want to wrap up with some wisdom from your growing up experience. But what else did you?
I think one of the most important story. My wife is an OBGYN. She went to school 24 years of her life. I went to high school.
Let's give her name because she's
Julianne Adams Burt.
Yeah. Great lady.
Yep. So she's a doctor. Here I am, kid. Grew up in Atlanta, Georgia.
Her and my wife are friends.
Yeah. Grew up in Atlanta, Georgia. Perry Homes. Went to Archer High School. And pretty much that's why I went to Atlanta Tech for a few years for automotive technology. Never did finish. So now we're dating and, some of my girlfriend. They're like, what? It's like one of them Tyler Perry movies. he never went to college, and then I had 4 kids. She didn't have any kids. So long story short, we started dating and got serious.
So you never went to college?
Never went to college.
Millionaire. Tim Burt's a millionaire. He's married, ladies, so get that. But he's a millionaire. Never went to college. Proud of it. But this is one of the smartest guys I know. He'll run circles around people with a college degree. By the way, I never went to college. Hello, GED out of high school, which Chris Rock called a good enough diploma, right? I've got 2 or 3 honorary doctorate degrees. I've got certificates from Harvard, University, Harvard. But I went to community college, right? Anyway, finish.
Wow,
finish.
Great. Yeah. So we dating, and all the friends come in and meet me, and we talk. And one of the things I did, I just asked everybody at the table, what was the last book you read that telling you where you're going in your future? And he's like, wow. So I started naming some books. So long story short, we decided to get married. And I said, hey, before we start discussing the wedding, we start talking about anything, we need to buy a piece of property, pay cash for it, because something has to pay for the wedding. It's not coming out of my pocket.
Woo! Say that again.
Got to pay for this wedding, and it ain't coming out of my pocket.
The
wedding
wedding
has to pay for it.
The wedding is not coming out of your pocket.
Not coming out of my pocket.
You told your wife this.
Yes, and she agreed. So we found a piece of property. This was back in 2010, right after the big burst. We bought a piece of property for $20,000.
So you took the benefit of the fact that people were in foreclosure or losing their houses, which is not your fault. It was going to happen anyway. So now the economy's falling apart. You go and take the advantage of buying a property at a low price.
Yeah.
And we're about to tell the rest of the story. But I want the audience also to listen to this. Like, I bought properties as a result of the economic disaster of the Great Recession of 2009, 8, 9, 10. On the back end of that, I bought a bunch of properties that went up in value. So people don't get like all emotional and, and oh, you're benefiting because somebody lost. Yes, that is capitalism. That is the way. I didn't cause the person to lose their property. I wasn't in their finances causing them to go and overspend on stuff. People make decisions that they make. I have nothing to do with it. Tim had nothing to do with it. But if a value comes to you that you can take advantage of, then rainbows after storms. You cannot have a rainbow without a storm first. So now you benefit from the crisis.
Yeah, the market crashed, and 2 years before the house was sold for $142, and we bought it for $20,000.
$20,000.
$20,000. That was in 2010.
Okay.
So held the house, rented a little bit, did some renovations. So it was a 3-2 when I purchased it.
People don't know what a 3-2 is.
Oh, 3-bedroom, 2-bath. I'm sorry.
Okay.
And I turned into a 6-bedroom and 4-bath. And we just recently sold it for $284,000.
Love that. Bought it for $20,000.
Bought it for $20,000.
Sold it for $280,000.
$284,000.
And you put up how much into it? What, $80,000?
No. I owned it. So it was me, and I had like 3 houses on that street. Put probably about, with me doing the work and my team, probably put about 35, 40 in it.
This dude is straight up hustler. And you say you own 3 or 4 properties on that street?
Yeah, we had a couple houses on that street.
Tim Burt working for me. I need to be working for him. I mean, I probably am working for him and just don't realize it.
Hustle economics.
All right, and we don't have time. Maybe we'll have you come back. We don't have time for all these stories because you also helped to build a huge church.
Yeah, New Birth Unlocked on I had the painting contract. Long story short, I was supposed to do 35%. I ended up doing 85%. And then I eventually started doing all the maintenance of the church. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, it's a huge facility. And, very thankful to Bishop Long, who made sure that happened, stood and make sure we had opportunities in that church.
So Bishop Eddie Long had hired you to do that.
Yeah. Well, he made sure, you had minority contractors and vendors in there.
Nice.
And he promised one thing: look, I can get you in the door and make sure you get 35%, but the rest is up to you. So they got me in on the pain, and I had 35% guaranteed, but I ended up doing 85%.
So no handouts,
no handouts.
Like,
no, sir.
I'm gonna give you. This is the James Brown version of affirmative action. Open the door. I'll get it myself.
I'll get it myself.
So he opened the door, created opportunity for you, but you have to hustle.
Yes.
You have to do the work, and you went from 35% of that contract to
85%.
That's fantastic.
Yeah.
Okay. So much with Tim Burt. You called me I get these calls out of the blue from Tim. It's straight. Call me one day. I want to buy 100 of your books. This is financial. A couple of my books, but you want to give them away. The memo.
At the time,
you want to give them away to young people
that I was working with. Yeah, young guys. Okay. And I encouraged them to read the book, and then whoever give me the best report get like $100.
Okay, and why'd you do that?
Well, one thing we understand: to be transformed, you have to renew your mind. And you're talking about the same thing when you had that person who had that $1,000 debt. And so, okay, I'm gonna help you get that debt reduced. So that person changed their mind at that point because somebody started working with them, started showing them the better way from the neck, from the shoulder up, that you start thinking different. When you change your mind, see, he always say, if you hang around 9 broke people, you'll be the 10. I say, if you hang around 1 wealthy person, you'll be number 2.
That's why I can't get rid of Tim Burt. I come out of my bathroom, there he is. I come out of my master closet, there he is. I walk in my office, there he is. Tim's a bad brother, meaning a good brother. Everybody needs a Tim Burt in your life. And stuff happens at midnight, I'll call Tim, and Tim will, I'm there. I'll don't worry about it. So our family really is blessed to have him in our lives, Shatra and I. Okay. You called me one day and said you were becoming a film producer. This is a hustle economics.
Always.
And I was going to be featured in this animated film. Let's talk about that real quickly.
Yeah, so we took John's last 2 books, the Up From Nothing and the Financial Literacy All, and we took young kids. The company's Make Believe Village that I'm a partner in, and we do puppetry.
That he's a partner in. Yet another thing.
Found the Dorian Ford, he gave me the opportunity to come in and be a part of it. So what happened, John told me one day I was out at the property, hey man, I quoted you in my book, and I didn't know it, and he signed the book and gave it to me, and I was like, wow, I ain't gonna tell you where it is, go read the book. And so
I want to make sure you can read. He would read.
So he said, I want you to go in there and find it. I ain't gonna tell you where it is. So he's read the book. So John always doing stuff to surprise me, and I did something to surprise him. So we took those last 2 books and created a short film. So I think he posted, but we'll repost it again. And we took, my sons and other young kids and allowed them to do the puppetry, and they was able to tell the story because, everything that you say and normally your sayings, we allowed that to be put in, and we produce. I mean, it is professional. When you see it, it's amazing. And right to this day, it's touching so many young people's lives and parents. So now we just finished up a program from last year and this year, working with the Mayor's Cultural Affairs Office, where we take kids in, and the Mayor's office, they pay them to come over there and learn services that we're providing. We teach them how to build sets because that's part of the construction site. We teach them how to write, direct, produce. Storytelling, broadcasting, doing it all, and also have a food trail. Tell you about that.
Okay, my man owns I forgot about that. He owns a food. He called me one day. He's like, "Hey, look, the next time you have an event, you and Shay, or you and Operation Over, whatever, just let me know. I'm gonna bring the food trailer over, and I'm gonna give it to you for free.
Yeah, we'll take care of your guests. You just tell me how many numbers. We'll take care of you. Tell us the menu. We got you.
And he's genuine about the free. It's not like a bait and switch. My sense is, we never talked about this. Again, the James Brown version of affirmative action. Open the door, I'll get it myself. My sense is that Tim's smart enough to know, if I get around John's friends, these corporate people, these leaders, these billionaires, whatever, these successful people, and if I impress them with how good my service is, somebody's going to want to hire me. Am I right?
Hustle economics.
So he'll do it for free, but he's really investing in himself. And we've never talked about this. And I'm going to take him up for his offer for free. Believe you me. But he just believes that if people see what he's doing and who he is, that they will be impressed with that, and they will want to invest in him, which I think is correct. And we will be bringing the food truck to.
Yeah. You don't know, we're gonna take care of you. And so the last thing I would say, with those kids and my son who's 10 years old, I asked them a question. All the kids in the camp. I said, if you could change one thing today or in the future, what would it be? And my 10-year-old said, well, Dad, I would love to help the homeless people and help people, who are challenged. I said, okay. So where we have our studio is right up the street, homeless people's up there. And we said, no, we're not calling them homeless. We call them community partners. So 3 days later, I went up there and talked to the people. I said, look, we're going to come up and I'm going to have my kids. We're going to bring some, food trailer. We're going to cook. We're going to serve you. I don't want you to move. The kids going to come and serve you. You tell them what you want. They're going to bring it to you. So we pulled a food trailer up and we're cooking the food live right there for the community partners. We don't call them homeless. We call them community partners. That's what I told them. And it changed both of their lives because I asked the people, I said, give the kids something that they can always take with them. And the kids going to give you something that you can always take with you in that service. And I always told them, if you ever want to get to the top, learn how to serve. You have to come to serve and not be served. And that's one thing I love about this guy. When he told me his vision in the beginning, I want to finish where Abraham Lincoln and Dr. King started. I said, man, that's a tall task. You got to be crazy. You got to be out of your mind. And he said, Tim, I am. And I trust God to help me do it. And so that's why I'm with this guy. That's why I support him. That's why he do what he do.
He's talking about the Freedmen's Bank, by the way.
Yes.
Legacy. As we wrap, and you guys, by the way, audience, tell us whether you want me to bring Tim Burt back for part 2 of Hustle Economics. my man's got stories for days. He started out, all far
off. Lie, easy into it. You get like, no, come on, man, give it to him.
Give him to him. Come on, just give it to him. The real Tim Burt, please stand up.
And I hustled my way into the Freedmen's Bank. Remember, I was your photographer, your personal photographer. You didn't know you had a personal photographer till I got there.
Where was this at?
The Freedmen's Bank. Remember how your personal photographer?
At the event?
Yeah.
Oh, that's right.
He remember?
That's right. He was taking pictures for me. Tim is always showing up, trying to serve, trying to help. What did you see in what I'm doing and what we're doing that you think was so profound and important that you wanted to lean into it? So thank you for all that you've done in you supporting and volunteering the work. Most times he does work for Operation Hope, whatever, he does not send the bill.
Volunteering.
And number 2, what are the lesson or lessons that you want to leave the audience with today?
I mentioned the word serve, and I think that's the greatest ability that I've watched you. You serve the community, you serve people who don't even know what you're doing for them. You're going into places, bringing back the resources to make sure we live a better life. And when you say you want to eradicate poverty, I watch it. And I understood one thing about service. I started studying that one thing. I realized Dr. King served Dr. Elijah Mays. Ambassador Young served Dr. King. And I watch you serve Ambassador Young. And that's why I serve you. Because if we do this, that's generational. This goes beyond the grave. So when you die, it matters that you live. a lot of people see you and know you and hear you, and to be able to help people. And my daughter and her husband came through your program, got their credit straight, got their financial literacy, got the home buying seminar, got a bank to get them approved, and they bought their house.
Beautiful, beautiful, beautiful. Full circle.
Tamorian Q prayer.
I did not know that.
Yeah, see, I told him I was gonna save him because he always surprised me. I surprised him.
Yeah, I did not.
So
your daughter,
yeah,
homeowner. That's
yeah,
fantastic.
she's a
Because of
homeowner.
Operation Hope. That's
Through
fantastic.
Operation Hope. So it works. And I can tell anybody, if you don't know who you are, if you don't know why you're here, I can guarantee you one thing. If you found an Operation Hope near you, if you walk in the bank and you see Hope inside on that door, go in, get involved, tell those people where you are. Don't be ashamed. Don't be afraid. As you can see, when I drove that truck up on that multi-million-dollar property, don't get me wrong, John is my friend. I ain't care what he thought about it. The service that he need, that truck was bringing it.
That's right. That's true.
Now he laughed and we laughing, and now it's a lesson. So never be afraid.
That's right.
Don't be ashamed. Let people know who you are, where you are. That's how you get help. That's how you transform your mind, and that's how you become the person that God created you to be.
And you're able to do all the stuff you're able to do because you live under your means.
Oh, most definitely.
Yeah, yeah.
Most definitely.
Yeah. So,
and I tell my kids, one time my son came home with a pair of, expensive shoes, and I told him, hey man, get your stuff, get out of my house. He was like, what? That's what I tell you. You would never put more in somebody else than you put in yourself. If you don't have that in your bank account, out of my house.
So wait a minute. So he came on with some expensive shoes. He's staying with you.
Gym shoes. Yeah. You can stay with me free as long as you want to. He was in school.
Yeah.
And he went and bought, I was out of town, came back and I saw the shoes on the bed. I say, hey, you bought those? Yeah. Like, get out of my house. I said, you would never have more in your closet than you do in your bank account.
Whoa.
Ever.
So you basically told me you're on your own now.
Yeah. But you know what he did? Smart. Hustle economics from the neck up. He got online, put those shoes online, and sold those shoes and showed me that I sold them.
Look, don't kick me out.
Exactly. Because if you can buy those shoes,
yes,
and you're gonna support somebody else's business, then you're gonna pay, rent in this house.
That's right.
And so that
there's a lot of love in the word no. I love you. You need to go get a job. Yeah. I love you, but if you're gonna have these kids, you're going to take care of them. I love you, but if you're gonna do the crime, you're gonna do the time.
Yeah.
I love you, but you've got to be responsible for your actions. There's no free lunch. If it's free, it's probably stale. Like these kids, right? They need direction, man. They need structure, and somebody's got to tell them no.
Yeah.
Telling them yes and patting them on the head is not going to help them. I really respect me and learn to like me, and like me and never respect me. So that's really cool. Sir James, who you and I both have a relationship with, he works for me. Sir James he said to his kids one day, they said they didn't want to go to college, and he said, "Well, look, you have a choice to make. I can either put you through school." This was his son, or I can put you through a wall.
Yeah.
And
that's a great.
they got the memo.
Yeah. One thing I say, I would never give you adult privileges without adult responsibility.
That's right.
And so I think too many people give their kids adult, privileges without adult responsibilities.
Yeah. So I was going to ask you a takeaway piece of advice, but you just gave it.
Yeah, that's it.
Is there anything else you want to share before we wrap up?
I just think, man, knowing who you are, knowing why God put you here, you got to know who you are. Because if you don't, just like I said, John always say, somebody tell you before sundown what you would be, and that's not who you are. Never let anybody to define you. Define yourself. Know who you are. Be bold, and be this way from the neck up.
Dangerous from the neck up. If you don't know who you are in the morning, by dinner time, somebody's going to tell you who you are.
Yeah.
Okay, this has been Money and Wealth on Black Effect Network and iHeartRadio. This is Tim Burt of Tim Burt Enterprises. You can look him up. You have a website?
Tim Burt Enterprises. Yeah. MakeBelieveVillage.com. That's where we are.
Make Believe Village, that's one of his partnerships. What about your construction company? Is it on?
I kind of retired and turned over to my son, so he's running it now.
All right.
He's building it up.
Your son paying you a licensing fee or some kind of an override? It's none of my business.
Yeah.
Okay. I know he's getting paid. Be clear about that.
Well, we get more into the real estate now, looking to buy land and start developing. So that's why I'm hanging with.
So he's like, I know this. He's in my pocket. It's just not hit yet. He's not in my. He's like, I need to talk to you.
Hey, John,
like, I need to talk to you. And see, he's not getting me to write a check. He just wants to pick my brain. He wants to pick my brain so he can go and replicate, because most great things in life are copied, which, by the way, is very, very smart. Much smarter to pick somebody's brain than pick their pocket. Picking their brain lasts longer. Smart from the neck up. So he's buying houses, rehabbing them, selling them, buying, rehabbing them, renting them, which is what I did with the Promise Homes Company. when I owned it. So kudos to you. This has been Money and Wealth on Black Effect Network. And this is Tim Burt. And be inspired. This is Hustle
Economics.
Peace and light.